Is that, and you're not going to fall like I did almost last time, are you?
I can just kind of lean back.
There you go. When I came in, Robert was playing "Hey Soul Sister," and it's so funny because I woke up this morning, with that song in my head.
Oh, cool.
It was really cool, and because I was thinking about you when Judy and I first met you.
Which, can I say something?
No, you
right
can't talk
now? I have to say this because it was literally, okay, Donna just got back from the same trip to India that I was on 2 years ago. The first time I came here was the Sunday after I got back from that trip.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was interesting to hear you mention that today about her coming back.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Yeah, lots of coincidences, huh?
So what were you going to say?
I don't know, I can't remember. No, I was going to say that when Judy and I met you, I think, and you came in and after you sang, and everybody loved you, and you got up and you got everybody going, I think we all said, we're soul sisters. So
we did.
Yeah.
Microphone.
So I was really excited to have you come up and share, and I think what I want to start with is, first of all, your music. Oh my gosh, that I allow touches my heart. Was that beautiful? Or yeah, I thought so too. You wrote it. She wrote it during a time that was very difficult for her, and I think that with all of us, when we're going through really difficult stuff in our life, sometimes the best things could come out of it, right? As it happened in our lives. So I want you to talk about kind of the development of that song and the songs in your life and where your music comes from first.
Okay, well. That song, I had been let go from a 9-year career in radio, morning radio, and on Thanksgiving in 2004, and that following July, I went to a music conference in Kansas City where I lived, and this was all music directors and singer-songwriters from all over the country who did what I was wanting then to do post-radio. I knew there was life after radio, and I knew it was going to be my life and my choosing and my creation. And of course, music is what I wanted to create. And at the end of this conference, I felt like, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? I don't know what I'm doing here. All these people are way ahead of me. Everybody has, 10 CDs to their name, and they're traveling, and they're doing this and this. And I woke up at 3 a.m. that Sunday morning of the Saturday it ended, and I was sobbing in my sleep. Literally, I woke up sobbing. And I knew that's what it was all about, that I was feeling very small and very much less than, and overwhelmed. And so one of the classes, one of the workshops that was offered by Karen Drucker, you all know her music here, one of the classes was about writing chants. And she said, all of my chants are my issues. And so if you're having an issue and you want some healing from it and you want musical healing, just ask for that to come through. And so I remembered that, and the timing was perfect and the timing was right, and I asked for that, and literally that song came through in about 5 minutes in the middle of the night. And I was able to fall back asleep then. And I sang it at church the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, I brought it to a friend of mine who was the minister there at the church where I was singing, and then the woman playing piano that day was my vocal coach and a friend of mine, and we just decided, let's just do it because it's raw and it's ready.
That's awesome. Yeah. Seems like in our lives sometimes it's that dark night. You mentioned you've been through a couple of the dark nights, and that's when we can really. It takes a while because we have to feel it and go through it, but that we can blossom forward.
Yeah.
In it. And you mentioned when I was talking to you earlier that you'd gone through several of those things, and I think almost everybody has gone through. And one of them that touched my heart, and if you don't want to go here, don't do it.
I can go anywhere you want.
You mentioned that you. all right. You had a couple of siblings that had died, and that it touched your heart, and it's where you are today.
Yeah. Well, when I was 13, my brother was killed in a car accident. He was 20, and then when I was 17, my sister was an innocent bystander. A fight broke out in a bar, and a shard of flying glass severed her jugular vein. And so, here comes again. So, for me, you know, it took a while to go through that dark night. And quite honestly, I was 17 and I turned to drugs for a while. And I was like, I've got to numb this out. I can't be here. But yeah, what came, and I've always been a spiritual student and seeker. And so the spiritual, the high note that I found in those experiences was that you live in the moment and you tell people, I love you now.
You were 17 and how old?
13.
Wow, that's
yes.
a big.
I said I was ready.
And so did and you,
so
wow.
it touched me in a way that it made me understand the value of life, how quickly it can go away. Bless your loving heart, thank you. And the power of being in life the way you really mean to be here, the way you're called to be here.
And so let me ask you, because it is interesting that you mentioned the drugs, and I think that's huge because, boy, that's big right now, you know, I mean, and so many people go through, and it's a trauma, and it's like they seek something. It doesn't have to be drugs necessarily, but that's what was your, you know, what happened with you.
Yeah.
And tell us about that period and how you got there and how you went through it, if you will, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I just decided I really needed to get very numb. I couldn't feel what I was feeling at that time. It was so overwhelming, and the constant through all of this, though, was that I had music and I had opportunities to perform, and I was writing not so much music, but I was writing a lot of poetry, and so that's what always kind of kept me with my head a little bit above water, even when I got sunk pretty low. I always had that to come back to, and that's the exploration then of the feelings. That's where the real exploration of the feelings and the real experiencing of it became, I guess, safe and okay. And very powerful. And so I'm very blessed that I don't have an addictive personality. I don't have that chemical in my body. But it went on for a long time. But and I rode those waves and finally came around to letting that go, letting that be what it was. But it was a long period. It was tough.
Yeah, and you said you had 9. How many kids were in your family?
I'm number 6 of 9 children.
9 kids in your family. Wow, that's
yeah. So I had a lot of friends to turn to who were experiencing the same thing. My siblings. So that's a blessing in that too.
And you're a recovering Catholic.
Yes. Yes. I even think I'm almost fully recovered. Thank you.
So tell us about the fringe. I would call you definitely a fringe dweller, like I would call practically.
Yeah.
And you were in the norm. You were, you know, in the Catholic. You grew up as a Catholic kid, and you know. So now here you are. You know, with this whole idea that you got something inside of you. Where'd you get that?
Well, even in high school, I mean, I remember arguing with the priest. I was pretty done with Catholicism by 8th grade. But I went to a Catholic high school. I had an argument with one of the priests who taught religion. Okay, so this is his job, and I had an argument with him about going to confession. Okay, you tell me I can talk to God and so forth, so why do I have to come to you? He didn't like that. And I didn't care for high school. And here's another version of a fringe dweller. I didn't like high school. I wanted to be out there performing. That's what I know I'm here to do, expressing my creativity. And so I discovered that I could get out of high school in 3 years. And so that's what I did. I finished high school in 3 years by going to summer school the year after junior year and taking history and English. And then I went straight into college. And so I was the youngest kid in college then, and all I took in college, here's more fringe, I just took music and theater, and then I left. And I I mean, and I commuted to college. I had no desire to go away to school and live with a bunch of strangers in dorms. That was not for me. So I really did it all just exactly the way I wanted to do. And I remember my piano teacher being very frustrated with me, saying, "You have to learn to be a teacher, because what are you going to fall back on if you don't make it?" And I wanted to say, my butt. I could fall back on my butt, and then I could get back up again and just find another way. And I have always found a way.
You even wrote a song about the butt.
I wrote the butt song. Getting rid of my butts. Yes, I did.
You did, you know.
Yeah, and I've had this amazing journey that's been about moving from one place to another and different versions of careers, voiceover and music, and
The voiceover. Tell them about. I think it's a crack up. If they have a Sprint phone.
Yes. Okay. So my claim to fame, when I got to Kansas City, I auditioned for this voice messaging system, and this is the very beginning of cell phones. This is when they were first out, and I auditioned and I got the gig, and so I'm the original voicemail voice on Sprint.
So do that for them.
Okay. To leave a voice message, press 1 now.
I love it. You do have a voice that can do that. You know? What an interesting career.
One person can say that in the world, and that's me.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's kind of fringy, yeah.
So when we were listening to Stuart Wilde, you know, he mentions that that fringe dwellers kind of have a different philosophy of life. So talk about that for a minute. What if you had to say what your philosophy of life? You know, I mean, that's kind of complicated, but just kind of give us some ideas of how you see your life, your philosophy.
I think it would have to be kind of like Joseph Campbell. Follow your bliss. Just be exactly who you are, and do not try and fit into any box or any particular role. For me, it just doesn't work. I don't like it. I cannot. I've tried the 9-to-5 jobs here and there throughout my life. I cannot do it. I am so miserable and unhappy. Even the radio job, I mean, literally, I was in a box. I was in a tiny room, really
a real box,
not much bigger than this stage. Literally, the radio studio was, and there were 3 of us in there, and it was, you know, you have to do this and make this happen, and that was one of the reasons I didn't love radio. What I loved about radio was being out with the people. I'm the one who got to go out and do the goofy things and be among the people, and you know, like on the anniversary of Elvis's death, I dressed up as Elvis Presley and laid in a coffin and handed out jelly donuts, and we called it the View and Chew. And that's the stuff I like to do. That would be me.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, that's
alrighty then.
Follow your bliss.
You are doing a lot of... Now, you live in San Diego, is that right?
I live in San Diego,
and you always are gone. It seems like you travel a lot, right?
I'm traveling, yeah, and I'm getting that groove back in. When I lived in the Midwest, there were a lot of places in the U.S. I could go because I was centrally located, so I'm getting that groove again from San Diego. I'm not going quite as far all the time, but I just spent 11 days in Tucson and Phoenix on a tour and created some wonderful opportunities, and in April I'll be in Cleveland for 10 days. You ask Cleveland why, I have family there, so so I created a tour there. And
is everybody in there, or just part of your family?
Just my brother and sister-in-law and their 3 little kids, and yeah. So so I get my job. I get to again follow your heart. So I decided, well, I want to go see family, so I'm going to create some church gigs and some house concerts and some gong meditations around a trip to go see the family. And that's my job.
Wow.
I like that.
And you get paid.
And I get paid. Imagine.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you just started doing that gong meditation.
Yeah, that's been about 6 months.
And did you have to learn?
I did. I had a teacher, And it was really cool. I had 3 gong experiences. The first one was with this woman, Barbara Cole, in Phoenix, and a gig that I had done. And she played gong and someone else did EFT tapping. And so we had this great concert. And I fell in love with the gong. And then I moved to San Diego, and I'm looking all over the place for a gong teacher, people who sell gongs, and I couldn't find it. And a few months later, my roommate came home and said, "Oh, someone gave me this card. I mentioned your name in the bathroom," and she came running out of the stall saying, "Teri Wilder, I know her. Give her my card. Tell her the gong lady lives here now." She moved to San Diego. I called her in. I got the power. And I learned to play the gong, and I ordered my gong, and you may have seen her out there. And so now I've added that dimension to the sound healing that I like to do.
So how'd you get her in your car? That is a big,
very carefully.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a big, you know.
She's not as big as you think. I mean, she fits pretty, and I have kind of a hatchback fold-down seats, and so it all fits in there.
So you're going to do the gong today. So is
yes.
it? So will we sit in the silence? Is that what it is?
You sit in the silence, and I don't know if any of you are up for this, but you know, lying down is the ideal way to do it. Lying on the floor, if you have a pillow or a jacket you can roll under your head. That's the ideal way. It deals with vibration. Everything is vibration, and this symphonic gong contains within it all the sounds of creation, all the vibrations of creation. So its vibration meets your vibration and helps you. It helps you release what's stuck. So it's like an internal massage with sound.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean,
do you do this? Is this part of your practice then now?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I don't get enough people to gong me, but when I gong others, and the gong plays me, I don't play the gong. It's very much alive. But I get something different, but I get as much out of it from being the facilitator of the sounds of the gong as you might lying down and receiving it.
What other spiritual practices? You do the gong? Do you meditate?
I meditate every morning. Every morning. If I don't, I know the difference. And I've done different meditations over the years, and right now I'm doing one that someone taught me that's engaging with my soul. So I get very still and very grounded, and then I engage with my soul and go off on this journey and then expand my soul out and then bring it back in. And, I mean, there was a whole year I spent on forgiveness, and there, you know, whatever the meditation of the moment that's resonating with me now. I mean, you were talking earlier about finding what resonates with you, and that's what I go with.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we there?
Well, no, we've got a few more minutes. So
okay.
I want to get back to your philosophy, you know, of how you see your life. We've been working this whole month, you know, with getting out of the box and being. I love what. There's a little thing in here that he writes in the back. This is Ramesh Shapiro's book. And he says, the fastest growing spiritual movement in the United States today is that of the religiously unaffiliated. These spiritual seekers make up 20% of the adult American population. They are the spiritual equivalent of political independence, but spiritually independence. I think that's neat. Refusing to limit themselves to one religion or another, these seekers without borders are open to wisdom wherever it can be found.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true, you know, that you can find wisdom, I mean, anywhere you go, right? You find it in nature, you know, and so, you know, how do you find that, you know, resonance, and how do you find your wisdom?
I know I make my living with sound, and a very important part of sound is silence. And so that's a huge part for me, is to go into the silence, to be in stillness, to be in nature. I got to do that in a different environment in Phoenix, being back in the desert. The desert's very important to me. I lived in Santa Fe for 2 years, so I got a lot of healing in the desert, mountains, the ocean. Oh my gosh, that's music, and you know, we live here, and it's right there.
Yeah.
So the ocean, and
I think everybody has something, don't you, that resonates with them. That,
yeah,
you know,
and the ocean is huge for me.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my favorite songs is the Song of the Humpback Whale. That gives me chills. And on that note, the gong, I can even make sounds like whales and dolphins with the gong. So it's been really powerful for me. So nature and silence and music.
Okay, last question is, last week our talk title was The Big Questions, right? The big question. So those are like, who are you, and so one of the questions that resonate with me is, how shall I live? So if I ask you, how shall you live, knowing what you know, what is your answer?
Wow.
I know, it's a big one, isn't it? You answer it in 30 seconds.
Please hold.
I said you can always say no.
I think more like I am, just continuing doing what I'm doing, and just listening and paying attention, and living now, and saying I love you to me now.
Is there anything that you would like these beautiful souls to know about your soul before we end it? Before you sing again, actually, you're going to be singing again.
More.
Yeah.
My soul is your soul.
Good. Thank you.